Tem um momento na carreira que precisamos dar um passo além. É hora de fazer uma pós-graduação. Só que muitas vezes o custo pesa no bolso, inviabilizando tudo. Com a pós-graduação do Senac, você não tem esse problema. Cursos com até 50% de desconto e muito mais tempo para pagar. TCC opcional, modelo flexível com aulas presenciais e online e alguns cursos com apenas 12 meses de duração. Não tem mais desculpa, hein? Saiba mais em sp.senac.br/pós-graduação.
How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word show to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word show, S-H-O-W, to 33777. Text show to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 3.
Well, we have a series of breaking news stories that are happening right now as we begin the third hour of the program. Welcome. The phone number 877-973-7425. Wow. You know what? I might as well just play the audio on this one for you.
I wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you personally for all the wonderful messages of support and for your understanding whilst I've been recovering from surgery. It has been an incredibly tough couple of months for our entire family, but I've had a fantastic medical team who have taken great care of me, for which I'm so grateful. In January, I underwent major abdominal surgery in London, and at the time, it was thought that my condition was non-cancerous. The surgery was successful. However, tests after the operation found cancer had been present. My medical team therefore advised that I should undergo a course of preventative chemotherapy, and I'm now in the early stages of that treatment. This, of course, came as a huge shock, and William and I have been doing everything we can to process and manage this privately for the sake of our young family. As you can imagine, this has taken time. It has taken me time to recover from major surgery in order to start my treatment. But most importantly, it has taken us time to explain everything to George, Charlotte, and Louis in a way that's appropriate for them and to reassure them that I'm going to be okay. As I've said to them, I am well and getting stronger every day by focusing on the things that will help me heal in my mind, body, and spirits. Having William by my side is a great source of comfort and reassurance too, as is the love, support, and kindness that has been shown by so many of you. It means so much to us both. We hope that you'll understand that as a family, we now need some time, space, and privacy while I complete my treatment. My work has always brought me a deep sense of joy, and I look forward to being back when I'm able. But for now, I must focus on making a full recovery. At this time, I'm also thinking of all those whose lives have been affected by cancer. For everyone facing this disease, in whatever form, please do not lose faith or hope. You are not alone.
That is Catherine, the Princess of Wales, announcing she has abdominal surgery. They thought was non-cancerous. It turns out she has cancer and is undergoing chemotherapy as a result of that treatment. That's happening right now. There's also other news closer to home. Mike Gallagher is the congressman from Wisconsin. He is the chairman of the House Select Investigative Committee on the Chinese Communist Party. He's announcing he's quitting Congress early after Marjorie Taylor Greene launched her bid to oust the speaker. He decided he was tired of the clown show and wasn't going to be a part of it anymore. He will be leaving. That will leave the House of Representatives with a one-seat Republican majority. It will be rebounded. There are some special elections. They should get back to a 2 or 3 seat majority. Ken Buck leaving. There will be an election there for his seat as well. That'll get him, but it's a narrow majority, and Marjorie Taylor Greene's stunt this morning has left a lot of Republicans in Washington, D.C. decide they're not serious about their majority, and they're going to be done. It is directly related, his departure, directly related to Marjorie Taylor Greene's stunt this morning to oust the Speaker of the House. And this could hand the House of Representatives to the Democrats because of what she's done. With Gallagher's departure to one-seat majority, you lose one person. If Johnson, for example, were to decide, you know what, I'm done too. We can't accomplish anything with these clowns. I'm done. That gives Hakeem Jeffries the speakership, thanks to Marjorie Taylor Greene. Wow. Republican from Georgia, Marjorie Taylor Greene, handing the House of Representatives to the Democrats. Well done. Well done indeed. The phone number here, it is an Open Line Friday, 877-973-7425. Bits breaking news, the Princess of Wales announcing she's been diagnosed with cancer, undergoing chemotherapy. In Washington, D.C., Marjorie Taylor Greene making a motion to vacate the chair to oust the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. And in response, Representative Mike Gallagher of Wisconsin saying, I'm done with this clown show. Wow. So, moving fast and on the phones, waiting patiently about none of these topics. Ron, listen, from Wagner, Oklahoma, I want to go to you next. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I've been listening to all the others and learning, okay?
Sure.
But, as a Vietnam combat veteran, I've been dealing with the Veterans Administration since 2017, and it's highly frustrating. And then you find out, or I find out, that according to an ICE report since 2022, VA resources have been diverted to take care of illegal aliens to the tune of about $62.3 million. There was 180,000 of these people treated using VA resources. Thank God for Mike Bost, a Republican conservative from Illinois. He has authored a bill, H.R. 6744, no VA resources for illegal aliens. It shouldn't have had to have come to that, Eric. But my question is, who authorized this at midnight behind closed doors, and why is the media so silent about it? And the several representatives that I've called here in Oklahoma, none of them were aware of it, except for apparently, Josh Breacham.
Mm-hmm.
He's on board with it. And another lady representative named Bice, okay? But, this is a slap in the face to every veteran who has ever served. And I want to use your platform, if nothing else, to get the families of veterans and the veterans themselves fired up, because this is atrocious. I mean, I really can't find the words for it.
So, so Ron, I'm glad you called on this issue, and y'all don't shoot me for giving the nuanced, broader picture here, because we'll dive into it. But what Ron's talking about, real story, generating a lot of outrage from members of Congress. Now, why it's not considered a news story? Let's get to that first. So, in 2002, back during the Bush administration, in 2002. After we altered the department, we created a Department of Homeland Security. We moved ICE, Customs Immigration, the Coast Guard and stuff into Homeland Security. The VA, the Department of Veterans Affairs, began processing payments and claims for those organizations. So since 2002, under the restructuring, the creation of the Department of Homeland Security, the VA doesn't just process the claims of veterans. The VA also processes claims generated through the Department of Homeland Security and a couple of other entities. As a result, they're processing claims related to the government carrying the cost of health care for illegal aliens, because ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, is under the Department of Homeland Security. So what the VA is saying is we're not doing anything new here. We've been doing this since 2002. And so the VA and the Biden administration, saying Republicans, Mike Bost and others, are willfully misrepresenting this. So it is a fact the VA has been processing claims for the Department of Homeland Security and others since the restructuring in 2002 after the 9/11 attacks and the creation of the Department of Homeland Security. That is a fact. Here's the problem, though. I'm going to read you this from ABC 15 News, their national desk. The U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, despite having a backlog of hundreds of thousands of cases, is appropriating resources to provide medical care for illegal immigrants, according to a July report. This report is by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. It details the operations of ICE detention healthcare facilities. The facility works with the VA to contract with the Department of Veterans Affairs Financial Services Center to process medical claims reimbursements for the migrants. In 2022, the facility provided healthcare services to over 118,000 obtained illegal migrants, according to the report. These services amounted to a cost of more than $63.6 million and is expected to be higher for 2023. The VA does not provide or fund any health care services to non-veteran individuals detained by ICE, says a VA spokesman. At no time are any VA healthcare professionals or VA funds used for the purpose. ICE provides and pays for all health care services for individuals detained in its custody. So how do you reconcile these stories? It is true the VA is not treating illegal immigrants at VA facilities. It is true that ICE uses the VA to process claims for treatments. What's going on here? Well, it's the VA has been doing this since 2002, processing these healthcare claims, but there's a problem. There are so many illegal immigrants in this country right now. The whole border is so overwhelmed right now. There are so many healthcare claims that are flooding through the VA. The VA is now struggling to process claims for veterans because they're processing claims for illegals. They have assigned a handful of VA employees who would otherwise process claims for veterans to process claims for illegals. Now, again, they've been doing this since 2002. I want to be as fair and intellectually honest about this as I can. They've been doing this since 2002, where they've processed claims for the Department of Homeland Security and others. They have contracts. They're allowed to do it. But the problem is now there are so many illegal aliens who are getting health care in the country that the Department of Veterans Affairs has had to pull staff off processing claims for veterans in order to process claims for illegals, and that slowed down the process of veterans care in this country. I still don't understand why we don't get rid of the Department of Veterans Affairs and just let our veterans go to any doctor they want on planet Earth. Whichever doctor they think they can get the best care from, let them go, and the government pay the bill. Certainly, there would have to be strains and reasons and procedures in place to make sure there's fraud. But why on earth? My wife and I have a friend who has to rely on the VA for health care. And it is obscene. He got COVID, bad COVID, real bad COVID. And the VA said they could see him in a month and did not come to the facility with COVID, but wouldn't provide him any sort of remote treatment. He's a veteran. Veteran of this country was treated like that by the VA. It's absurd and obscene the way veterans are treated by the Department of Veterans Affairs. And now they have undermined their staff being able to process claims. I do, again, want to be real clear here, contrary to some of the reports that are out there, that it does not appear that the Department of Veterans Affairs is actually treating illegal aliens. But what it does also appear is that they are taking employees away from processing claims for veterans to handle processing outside claims by illegal aliens for ICE, which has slowed down the ability to process claims for veterans and degraded health care for veterans. The stories are reconcilable if you understand this. They're denying that illegals are getting treated at VA facilities. They're not denying the processing claims. Say, well, we've been doing this since 2002. Yes, it's true, except we're so overwhelmed right now. There are so many claims. You're now admitting, the VA is now admitting they actually, we did take employees who were processing veterans claims, and now they're processing illegal alien claims instead. The result is that veterans can't get their claims reviewed, and they can't get treatment, and they can't get appointments because the staff of the VA are so overwhelmed helping illegal aliens who aren't even getting treated at the VA. It is an absolutely insane system. It is unfair to our veterans, and something should be done about it. And, the Biden solution is, well, just give us more money. No, we're not going to give you more money unless that money is to shut down the border. Hello there. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. If you're just tuning in, there is big breaking news. The Princess of Wales, Catherine, announced she has cancer, found during abdominal surgery, undergoing chemotherapy. We don't know anything about prognosis or anything else. Now, okay. I've been watching for weeks the obsession over her, and was it a body double at a market, and just the wildness of it. Chris Murphy, Democratic senator, was supposed to go on CNN at 2 o'clock Eastern time to talk about the anniversary of the passage of Obamacare. And he was venting online just before 2 o'clock. A report came out that the national media would be covering the Princess of Wales. And he was like, it's true, I was supposed to be on about Obamacare, but this is apparently a more important story. Well, he didn't know that it was going to be she's got cancer. Just in fairness to him, it was a little bit of a temper tantrum, though. But I got to tell you, the reason you hear so much about the royal family is because the royal family is a dominant news story in this country and the UK. I mean, here's a sense of it. This is from Scripps News Live.
Time to recover from major surgery in order to start my treatment.
This is News Nation right now.
Been very painful, has been very hurtful to them, and now it's time for them to tell their side of the story.
This is CNN. Well, you can't hear them talking on CNN all of a sudden. They froze. But they're talking about on.
And I
yep,
do
there it is.
hope that the press don't go, the British press don't go after him, because it's triggering and it affects everybody. And when you've got two family members,
here's Fox News right now.
Sort of precursors to the cancer she's now suffering with, or is that
here's MSNBC?
We don't know that. With the king, we've been told that there's a possibility.
Here's CBS News right now. Oh, they're just going into commercial break all of a sudden. That was breaking news live on CBS News. Here's ABC News live right now.
And William and I have been doing everything we can to process.
I mean, literally every news network in America right now, with the exception of OAN having on Vivek Ramaswamy right now, every other news network in America is talking about this story. CNBC and Fox Business and Bloomberg and OAN are the exceptions. Newsmax, MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, News Nation, Scripps News, ABC, CBS, NBC, local broadcast interrupting their local broadcast coverage. All of it about this. My goodness, big story. Vision Computer wants to be a big story in your life, helping your computer stay online and your employees focus on the task at hand. Listen, your employees probably aren't computer experts. They're experts in why you hired them. They're skilled in what you hired them. And they're not. You want their skills there, not with keeping their computers up and running all the time. That's where Vision Computers comes in, because Vision Computers can help your employees be focused on the task at hand and let Vision handle the computers. For $179 a year, not a month, a year, Vision Computers can be your in-house IT solution, where if your employees have a problem, they call a number, and faster than Google search, they get the answer on what to do. They can handle remote access to computers. They can handle email support, printer support, you name it. And they can do it for $179 a year. They can also build you computers so you get what you want instead of the one-size-fits-all big box store computer. VisionComputers.com or 404-COMPUTE. Call Vision Computers, 404-COMPUTE. Anywhere nationwide, any of you, nationwide, home or office, 404-COMPUTE. Tell Vision Computer I sent you get an even better deal. 404-COMPUTE or VisionComputers.com. Greetings, welcome. It's Eric Erickson here. I hope you guys are ready for the weekend. The phone number, 877-973-7425. Getting this question a lot. I'm going to take it from Corey here. You get to ask it on the show. Welcome. How are you?
I'm doing good, Eric. How's it going?
Good.
I wanted to ask, as conservatives, what prevents us from almost rooting to lose the House right now? If the Democrats had a very slim majority in the House, they'd have control of all three branches. they'd either go just crazy enough to convince regular moderate voters to vote Republican in November, or they wouldn't go radical and they'd alienate the radical side of the left. So I was curious what your thoughts are on that.
So I think that what you're saying is probably what some friends of mine are thinking right now. Just give it to them. They'll destroy themselves. Except they haven't done a reconciliation package this year yet. Remember, they passed their climate change that they call the Inflation Reduction Act legislation that gave us all the expansion of the cars and everything. They passed that under reconciliation. It was filibuster proof in the Senate. They only needed 50 votes to do it, and they did it. The danger of giving the Democrats the House right now is there's been no reconciliation package this year. They get one, maybe two a year, one for sure this year. They haven't done. So you give them a very slim majority, a one-seat majority in the House, they can ram through a reconciliation package with a one-seat majority in the Senate, and they can lock in gains that Republicans won't be able to undo, because if the Republicans pick up everything next year, they're not going to have a filibuster-proof Senate. And if you pass something under reconciliation, it's very hard to undo that with another reconciliation package. Typically, it takes a majority that can get past the filibuster. So, yeah, I mean, I had this thought, Corey, myself, of, well, just give it to the Democrats. They're going to go nuts. The voters will see them exposed. And then they'll, wait a second, they haven't passed anything by reconciliation yet this year. If they do that, they can lock in progressive policy gains. I mean, look at the car stuff. I've been wanting to talk about the car ban, and we haven't really been able to get to the car ban. The Biden administration has decided to ban the internal combustion engine vehicle by 2035, and they're saying it's not a ban. But if a 15-week abortion ban is an abortion ban, their regulations on internal combustion engine cars is a ban. Because what they're doing is they intend to impose so many regulatory hurdles on car manufacturers that it will be impossible to make an internal combustion engine car and comply with the regulations. What they're saying is, we don't care how the auto manufacturers comply with the emission standards. They just got to figure out a way to do it. And if they can do it and still have an internal combustion engine car, we don't care. Except it's impossible with the standards, and all the automakers are saying that. And this is a real problem because of the upending of not just jobs, blue-collar jobs, but also the driving up costs for everyone. Because just think about this. Just think about it. Tractors use a lot of diesel, but there are equipment that uses gas, not diesel. And you restrict the number of cars, well, suddenly gas stations start going out of business because of the cars over time. It increases the price of gasoline over time. There are less refineries because there's less demand. So there's less supply. So prices go up. So your food prices go up because you're not going to convert the industrial services of America into battery-powered cars. You're just not. This is a foolish plan. And it just goes to this disruption. Adnan Gridaradas, I'm mispronouncing his name on MSNBC, bragging about this sort of stuff. He thinks this is a good thing. Listen to this commentary on MSNBC.
This has been an era of head-spinning change on so many fronts, from technology to the rise of China. One day you manufacture furniture in North Carolina, the other day no one manufactures furniture in North Carolina. We're changing the meaning of being a man. We're changing the racial makeup of the country very fast. And these are, in many cases, good things, some cases, bad things. I think there's an organizing challenge that the Biden administration, the Biden campaign, and Democrats more broadly, and outside groups need to really think about, to speak to the people you're hearing from, that it goes beyond, here's this issue, here's this piece of legislation, but like, what are people feeling? Why are people so anxious? Why are people so angry? Why are people so on edge? It is usually deeper stuff, right? The stuff around masculinity, it's not about today's issue. It is men not knowing who they are going to be in a gender equal country and not having a good sense of themselves. That stuff is the most dangerous stuff in politics. It's the most easily weaponized stuff.
Okay, first of all, you get to how much of a progressive he is, that a gender equal society, men not knowing who they are, if they've got to be equal. No, this is a guy, if I recall, he's the one who decided he was going to raise his children to be gender neutral and let them decide. He's super progressive. But he's also lives in Brooklyn. That should tell you everything you need to know. But it does get to the heart of something, this upheaval in society, this cultural upheaval. And guys like him think that they're on the side of righteousness and the right side of history, as they say. But the changing what it means to be a man, the gender identity issue, the transgenderism issue, it's anathema to black voters and Hispanic voters in addition to a large number of white voters. Ending the fossil fuel burning vehicle not only eradicates jobs, it drives up the cost of the middle class. They get very upset with it. This ongoing revolution in this country to upend our economy and move it into some level of socialist command and control, it drives up inefficiencies in markets. The free market is the most efficient market. It drives up the burden of doing business in arm's length transactions. It drives up the costs of the poor and the middle class and forces more people onto a government social safety net that they don't actually want to be on, and they begin to have resentment towards the government. It's the elite doing it. It's people like him doing it. It's the talking heads on MSNBC in charge of this, and that's why we're seeing a shift in non-white voters to the Republicans, because these people want to upend society. They think it's good. They live in cloistered bubbles of progressives like Brooklyn, and they cannot fathom that it's a bad idea. Let's just play out the end of the internal combustion engine for a minute. How are we going to fly? Anybody? You know how heavy the batteries would have to be to compensate for the loss of internal combustion engines in airplanes? That's not going to happen. It can't happen. But now you reduce the supply of fossil fuels, you reduce their refinement, you reduce their production. That's going to drive up the cost for the airlines for fuel. You're going to price people out of being able to travel. What about the diesel for the tractors and the combines and the plow and the machines to plow and the lawnmowers of America? What are you going to do? You're not going to convert them all to battery powers because they're going to run out, particularly in the cold or in the very heat of the summer. They're not going to be able to plow as efficiently or stay as long as in the field without having to charge. So you're going to have to buy more, or you're going to have downtime charging. That's going to drive up the cost of food production. It's going to drive up the cost of harvest. That's going to drive up the cost of groceries. It's irrational to think that we can get rid of fossil fuels. And it is irrational to think that the American public, through government regulation, should be forced into buying vehicles they do not want. Let's go back to my conversation with Adam Morgan. He's being attacked in South Carolina. He's a state representative from Greenville, South Carolina, running for Congress. He voted against building a massive electric vehicle production facility in South Carolina. He's being attacked by lobbyists. But his constituents didn't want it in South Carolina. They didn't want to give the big government handouts to attract it. They didn't want the disruption that it would bring, and they didn't want the cultural upheaval that it would also bringing in a bunch of progressive wokes building electric vehicles in South Carolina. And by the way, it's using government dollars in South Carolina to subsidize an industry that only exists because of government subsidy that the American people do not want. The only reason people are going gangbusters in giving big tax incentives to build EVs is because the Biden administration handouts, which are all going to go away if Donald Trump gets elected president. And so much of it is to check boxes for progressives who believe the world is going to hell in a handbasket. There's a story in Axios. The headline says, "Screens are poisoning kids' minds." A shocking number of American kids are sad, suicidal, and stuck on small screens, sucking away their zest for life. This is the indisputable and alarming trend among American children based on the latest polling and deep research by an NYU professor in a book out next week. The pandemic is often cited as a driver of the teen mental health crisis, but it was brewing before that. A growing body of research links the acceleration of the crisis to one of this century's biggest events, the arrival of the smartphone. Smartphones and social media fundamentally change the way teens spend their day outside of school. You take a generation of young people, they're spending a lot more time in the rooms alone, not sleeping, hanging out, and not hanging out with friends in person. It's a pretty bad formula for mental health, says Gene Twenge, a psychologist and author of the book Generations. Not wrong. The data bears this out, by the way. But also what's happening is you have this rise on social media and even among progressive parents that the world is doomed. The world is going to burn. Climate change is here and we're all going to die. And it is not a coincidence. It is not a coincidence when you survey mental health of kids, the kids with the worst mental health are progressive kids from progressive families. They don't go to church, and they believe we're all going to die because of climate change. And it is these fear scenarios and these panic scenarios that is driving so much of American public policy right now. It's not a coincidence at all that this is happening. It is really, really bad stuff for the United States. It's really, really bad stuff for these kids. And yet this is the road we're headed down. It is easily foreseeable that when you're piling on dread with kids and doomsaying climate and putting them in isolating conditions and letting them have access to TikTok, where the Chinese regurgitate the algorithm to make them panic and hate the West, you're going to see the rise of depression, despondency, and despair. Again, here is the data. This is the God's honest truth data. This is not my data. This is the data from the sociologists and the researchers out there. The kids who have the best mental health are conservative kids from two-parent households who go to church. Let me say it again. The kids who have the best mental health in this country are the kids who are conservative from conservative two-parent households, and they go to church. You want your kid to not be suicidal. You want your kid to have good self-esteem. You want your kid to have a good work ethic. You want your kid to be productive. You want your kid to not be a worrywart who's in despair and isolated. Be conservative, stay married, and send your kid to church, where they get a worldview that there's a God who is sovereign and in charge, and he's got this, so you don't have to worry about it. It's the left and their social religion, and they themselves are destroying their own kids and destroying the world in the process. And it's sad to see. All I can do is give you the data. And the Biden administration shaping up oil policies and gas policies and car policies in this country, all to placate a bunch of people who are convinced the world is going to end. You know, the world's not going to end, but there are some banks in this country, regional banks in particular, that just might because of the bad deals they've gotten themselves into. Swiss America has been sounding the alarm about a secret war on cash and an assault on our freedoms. They want to educate you on how to protect your hard-earned assets right now. Call them, get their report, The Secret War on Cash. It is free. All you do is mention me, Eric Erickson, when you call or text 800-289-2646. The All Out War on Cash includes digital forms of currency. It is spreading. Their report, The Secret War on Cash, is free to you guys. All you do is mention Eric Erickson when you call or text 800-289-2646. That's 800-289-2646. One more time, 800-289-2646. You mention my name, Eric Erickson. You can text 800-289-2646. Just text my name to it, or call them at 800-289-2646, and you'll get the Secret War on Cash report. It's completely free, thanks to Swiss America. Message and data rates may apply. I got to start working on some recipes again, don't I? It's been a while. Y'all, at the end of the show today, I want to go back to something I mentioned very briefly yesterday, and that is FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. It has been an unmitigated disaster. And many of you, if you're affiliated with colleges or you got kids going to college, understand what I'm talking about. For the rest of you, so FAFSA is a form. If you're going to any college or university in the United States, even if you don't want federal aid, you have to fill out the FAFSA form. And you have to fill out the FAFSA form because it's kind of an audit of the government for kids who are going to schools that take government money. So if you go to Hillsdale College, you don't have to fill out FAFSA because Hillsdale doesn't take federal aid. But any other college or university, if it takes federal aid, even if you don't want federal aid, you have to fill out FAFSA. And you go on a website. When I was a kid, you filled out an actual paper form, and it was convoluted and messy. It was like doing your taxes as an 18-year-old. And hopefully you had your parents' help. And then they put it online, and it was a multi-page website, and then your parents had to fill out income information. And what they decided to do is actually a great idea, which is you put in your basic identifier information, and then the government can go to the IRS and pull the IRS information and go to the Department of Education and pull the Department of Education information. You don't have to do much anymore. Here sounds great. So the government's involved, and the whole thing is a mess. It's broken. It's convoluted, and colleges can't get their information. So now if you're a small college, there are some kids who are not going to thrive on a big college campus, and they need small colleges. There are a number of colleges in the country that are 1,000 students or less. They have very tight budgets. They don't have vastly wealthy alumni usually. and they rely on FAFSA. And they need FAFSA by April 1st to determine their budgets for the coming year and how many students will be on grants and aid and what scholarships are available for kids. My kid right now at her college that she's going to, they can't process FAFSA. And so we don't know if she's going to qualify for any more scholarships or if we're going to have to pay money. But the colleges themselves, several small colleges in this country may wind up having to close up shop next year because they can't get their FAFSA data, and so they can't plan their budgets. And if they can't plan their budgets by the time accreditation rolls around, they are in deep, deep doo-doo. The government has broken the system. They had the intention of making it work well, and not only is it not working well, but it is going to be an unmitigated disaster for a very large number of colleges and universities in the country, in addition to all the kids. I mean, literally, we are in this as a family with a kid headed off to college. We get these daily emails from the college saying, hey, make sure you filed your FAFSA. Well, she's filed her FAFSA, but the government hasn't given it to the school. And when the school reaches out to the government says, you'll get it at some point. And so my kid is eligible for scholarships that she can't be actually qualified for because they haven't got the FAFSA for him. It is, by the way, this isn't a per se Biden administration issue. They began the rollover during the Trump administration, and it's just the government bureaucracy screws it up. The government bureaucracy can't do these things well, and it's infuriating as a parent. And a buddy of mine who is on the board of a small college says they're going to be fine this year, but they're hearing about other small colleges in the country that may go out of business if they can't get FAFSA soon. Because they've got to be able to do their budgets, figure out their overhead, how many beds are going to be available, what's the shortfall, what's the over, all that sort of stuff. They're not able to process that. And they also can't get the money from the government for the grants for the tuition. So they're going to wind up having kids on campus who are taking classes who should be eligible for grants, but they haven't gotten confirmation. So they're going to be getting an education that's not going to be paid for because the government's not transmitting money because they can't get FAFSA right. It is insanity. It's awful, and it is just another lesson on how the private sector does so much better than the federal government at most things. We need a government to do basic functions. You build roads. I don't even know if they should provide public education, but they do. Raise an army, defend the country, I guess deliver the mail. It's in the Constitution. But they're not securing the border. They're not delivering the mail great. We need to get back to the basics in this country. There are so many things we know work well. A free market works best. It provides the most efficiencies. It directs capital the way they need to. Things like that. It's absolutely bizarre that we're in the situation that we're in. All right, y'all, out of time. Have a great day. Have a great weekend, by the way. I'd like to go play golf, but it's pouring down rain outside. I hope it's sunny where you guys are. Have a fantastic weekend. I'll talk to you all Monday.